Right. What is going on, everyone? This is Matt Prokop again coming at you. In this video, guys, just so we're completely clear of what we want to cover here, I'm going to take you through the first half of Pete Gabransky's union presentation video. And with this video, guys, a couple of things I want you to pay attention to. I'm essentially going to go over all the intangibles that Pete Gabransky goes through in his video so that when you go through this video with him and watch it again, you can watch it with like a third eye, right? You're starting to see the intangibles, highlight the things that aren't necessarily in the script, right? That you may not know if this video didn't exist. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen with you really quickly. All right, so I'm going to be in this little box up in the top right-hand corner of your screen. And as we go through this presentation, guys, I'm going to pause the video at certain points throughout. Once again, we're only going to go over the first half here. And as we go through, things that I'm going to highlight, I want you guys to start implementing and incorporating these intangibles in your own presentation. Because it's one thing to know the script, right? Yes, it's memorization. Yes, even now that we're virtual, you can even read off the screen if you know how to share your screen properly so that if you are reading off the screen, they're not looking at you read off the screen, right? So as we go through this video, I really want everyone to buckle down, pay attention to all the ins and outs that we're about to go through because this is super important, guys. All right, this is how you make your presentation pop. Right? That's how I like to break it down. This is how you make your presentation pop. All right. So without further ado, I'm going to play the very beginning of this video, probably let it play for a couple seconds or so, just so you guys can start thinking in the right direction. Okay.
What's up, everybody? My name's Peter Gabransky. I'm one of the general managers here. I've been here a little over 7 years. I'm fortunate enough to be going through the virtual union presentation with you today. So 2 things I want to have you keep in mind. Number 1, in the back of your head, when you're watching me present, think about this. Would you enroll? Would you choose to opt into the program? And then number 2, ask yourself, could you give yourself the same opportunity to go through the presentation itself? Could you see yourself actually doing this?
Those 2 questions right there, guys, that's some feedback that you should always ask yourself, right? If you are practicing at home, and you want to get some, some reps in, some full presentation reps in, put yourself on film, watch it all the way through, then ask yourself at the end, would I enroll? Right? Like act like you didn't know yourself and say, would I enroll after this presentation? It's a really, really good tool for you to use just so you can analyze yourself. You're the harshest critic of yourself. So this next little part that we're going to go through here, I want you to pay attention to his tonality, his volume, and how he says things, because it's not just what you say, right? It's how you say it. You guys are going to hear that a lot. If you've heard it already, I apologize. You're going to be hearing it more. All right. So as we go through this, it's not just what you say, it's how you say it. It's going to make more sense as we go through.
So walking you through the basics itself. Again, I'm meeting with a union member that has sent back their response card. In this case, we'll say it's a nurse. Her name's Jennifer. So I would build rapport there. I'd ask her how her day's going, how long she's been with the union, etc.
Build rapport. The guys and girls that are watching this video, please, this is very, very important. You don't ever want to start your presentation right off the bat, right? Because guess what? If the second they hop on your Zoom call and you go right into the presentation and you don't get to know them, you don't really know anything about them or their family, right? You're just another person to them. And guess what they're going to pin you as the second they fire up that Zoom call? Salesperson, right? So we need to show them that we're regular human beings just like them. You have to be relatable here. We don't just say build rapport to build rapport. Building rapport with the client, this is how I like to look at it. I want to build rapport with the client so well that I want to leave that client after I'm done with the meeting, after I'm done with the presentation. I want to leave them thinking, wow, if everyone treated me the way Matt treated me, the world would be a better place. Think of it as like your long lost best friend that you haven't seen in years. That's something that really helped me. So when you're building rapport, you don't just ask questions like, Oh, how's your day been going today? Like very vague questions. You want to be proactive with your rapport. So, for example, I'm going to ask them, how come you decided to move to Brockton, whatever area I'm in? Why did you guys decide to live here? Half the time it's because their family's in the area. Other times it's whatever reason, right? It could be any reason under the sun. Reason I like to ask that is because it's proactive. If they tell me they moved here because they have a bunch of family in the area, guess what? Now I know that they know other people that they can refer into the program. So as I go through my presentation and it comes to the child safety kits, for example, I'm going to bring up the fact that they have family in the area and I'm going to refer them in for the child safety kits. You see what I'm saying? Start thinking along these lines, guys. Start asking these proactive questions so that when it comes time later on in your presentation to collect referrals, you can say, hey, I know you said you have a sister that lives nearby and she has 2 kids. Let's start with her. What's her last name? Right? So we'll get into that later on in this video. So as we progress through, build rapport, guys. Build rapport. Rapport doesn't just start in your presentation. Rapport starts when you make the initial phone call to get them on your schedule, right? So that's also another lesson for another module. So I digress. So as we keep going through this, pay attention to the tonality and see how he's proactive and see how he is assumptive as he goes through the beginning portion of the presentation. He starts himself off on a very, very good note because he properly introduces the company. He's showing that he's a regular, genuine human because he's having an emotion. A lot of the times, guys, when, especially new trainees, when they're just learning the business, they tend to be like robotic, right? New script, you know, maybe they're not familiar with Zoom, whatever the case may be. And so then next thing you know, they sound like a robot, right? Have you ever been to union meetings where they talked about our company, right? Like stuff like that. You want to be a genuine person, right? It's not just what you say, it's how you say it. I'm going to keep saying that throughout this whole video. Okay. So let's continue on.
When I'm ready to start, I'm going to say, so Jennifer, do you go to union meetings where they go over our company? You haven't. Okay, no problem. So to get you caught up to speed, American Income, we've been working with labor unions and associations on their permanent insurance benefits actually since 1951. So
real quick, notice how we said that permanent insurance benefits. He says insurance in the very beginning, guys. Do not shy away from the words life insurance or insurance in general. A lot of times, new trainees, they treat the word insurance like the word Voldemort, right? If you guys are familiar with Harry Potter, he who shall not be named. People always like to tiptoe around the bush. Don't do that. Put everything on the table. Let them know exactly what you're going to go through. The more transparent you are, the better off not only you're going to be, but the client is going to be because they know you're being 100% transparent and they know you are doing the best job for them. Okay? So far, notice his volume. It's still high, right? High volume, high energy, right? Think about it, guys. You need to have high energy the whole time through the presentation because if you don't, you guessed it, you're going to lose them. Think about your favorite movie, right? This is what I like to compare it to. Why is that your favorite movie? Chances are you felt some type of connection to the main character. You wanted to see how it played out. You're rooting for the main character, right? And even if you've seen the movie 100 times, you're still going to root for him or her, whatever movie you decide. Reason why you're so involved is because you're emotionally tied into it. Because the movie somehow pulled on your heartstrings in one way or the other. And now you're not only emotionally invested, now you just want to see how it plays all the way through because you can't just leave on a cliffhanger, right? Same idea here. Keep them engaged with energy. Keep them engaged with your energy most specifically, okay? Show your personality as you're going through the presentation. So notice how you can start seeing Pete's personality as he goes through the no-cost benefits to come in this video.
So to date, we work with over 30,000 unions, associations internationally. For example, teachers, nurses, firefighters, just to name a few. And the reason we work in cooperation with your union specifically is because you have great benefits at work. But whenever you retire, fired, or just choose to leave, your benefits greatly diminish. In most cases, are gone completely. So our company, we actually cover you for all the permanent and portable benefits, meaning.
What did he just do there? He just showed the problem and providing the solution. That's what this is, guys. You address the problem and then you provide the solution. The problem here is that a lot of union members do not realize that their benefits that they currently have through their job go away once they leave that job. Let that sink in for a second. Now imagine you've been in the union for 30 years. Life insurance person fires up the Zoom call, tells them just right off the drop of the hat, yep, those union benefits that you thought you had your whole life aren't permanent anymore. You think that's going to go over well? You need to build proper rapport and you need to build a connection with the client in order to have a real conversation with them. The whole point of this presentation, of you presenting to clients, is not to sell them. It's to educate them. I cannot stress that enough. I've been the classroom trainer here for almost 2 years now. I've had so many questions about down closing, you name it, I've been asked it. Here's the deal. I don't like saying the word sell. I want you to replace the word sell with educate. You educate our clients on the options available for them. It's completely voluntary, right? No one's forcing them to sign a piece of paper to get this policy. It's voluntary, right? No one's putting a gun to their head. You need to make sure that in order for them to want to volunteer into this program, to be involved with American Income, they need to understand the problem at hand. The problem at hand is that the union benefits that every union member thinks is permanent and it stays with them their whole life. It's not the case. And so when they do leave that job, they realize their benefits are gone. And now guess what? Now they have no benefits whatsoever. And now let's say they've been in the union for 30 years, right? So now they're probably what, 50, 60? How expensive do you think insurance is going to be then when they're that old? This business is about being proactive, not reactive. This is why you want to educate your clients so that they can be proactive and not reactive. God forbid if they get fired from their job or they leave for whatever reason, and then all their benefits go out the window. Teach them this. Address the problem, provide the solution. Okay? So notice as Pete keeps on going through, I want you to pay attention to how he goes over the AD&D, the first no cost benefit. I want you to pay attention to how he shares his screen. I want you to pay attention how he stops sharing his screen. And I most importantly want you to start seeing and hearing how he says the verbiage, how his personality comes through in the verbiage. These are the intangibles. No one can teach Pete how to be Pete in a presentation, right? This is something that he learned about himself as he progressed through the business. I'm not asking you guys to be like Pete. I'm asking you guys to be yourselves, right? No one can be you but you. Pete gives a full presentation. I give a full presentation right after. They're going to be very different just because we're very different people. And that's okay. We expect that. We want that. That's encouraged. But what we expect is for you to have energy, passion, and believe in what you're saying, and to be completely transparent with the client at all costs, no matter what. Okay? So I digress. Let's continue through. Notice how he shares the screen, goes through the AD&D benefit, and then we'll recap after.
While you're working with the union, but also following you whenever you leave the union. So my job is to go over 4 no-cost benefits that you get for being a union member in good standing. Now, understand there are additional benefits, but those you have to qualify for. Make sense, Jennifer? Perfect. So please understand, though, with everything going on in the world today, the demand for our services is at an all-time high. So they have us ask two things of you today. Number one is if you see something you like, take advantage of it today, in fairness to all the other union members waiting to enroll. Number two, because we are so backlogged with all of our other union members, they do want me to give you the quick version today. Sound good? Perfect. So just so we're on the same page, Jennifer, I want to make sure that you remember this card that you had received in the mail. This had been mailed out to you from your union, the M&A.
All right, so I'll pause it here. Obviously, guys, this might be obvious, right? But want to clarify. Have a professional screensaver on your computer. Notice how his is like the forest, his mountains in the back, right? Don't have anything ridiculous. Don't have anything ludicrous on that thing, right? Standard screensaver. And notice how we share the screen, right? Super simple. There's an option in Zoom. Also, that's another lesson. We go through the ins and outs of Zoom in another module. So we're not really going to cover that here. So far, this is what their AD&D looks like, okay?
And then this was the response card you had actually filled out.
So that's what it looks like, the response card that they fill out.
From your union, the M&A.
This is what it looks like. This is what they fill out. This is what they mail in. This is how we get their basic information in order to give them a phone call.
And then this was the response card you had actually filled out. And I have a copy of it right here. It looks like you had put your husband Daniel as the beneficiary, still the same address in Weymouth, all that's still good. Perfect.
So notice, very simple, just goes over the basic information they wrote down and just verifying it. Birthday right, name right, beneficiary correct, phone number correct, address correct, right? Very basic information.
So now we're the only ones who know about this right now. So who would you want to list as your two emergency contacts? Obviously, wise if they're young and local to the area. And I'll record those for you. All right, so you would put your brother Joe. All right, great. And Joe's phone number, 617-878-1512. That's your brother. All right, and he's an emergency contact. Great. And he's in Boston. Perfect.
Notice how he's repeating the information, guys. I want you all to get in the habit of when you are collecting these beneficiaries, repeat the names back. So for example, if I'm typing in Joe Smith, just like Pete just did, right? I'm going to say, okay, is that spelled Joesmith? I'm going to spell it out loud so that it's still interactive between me and the client. I don't want the client just to be sitting there twiddling their thumbs in silence, right? Because guess what? You're going to lose them. You got to understand that people's attention spans, especially in today's day and age, humans' attention spans in general, it's like a goldfish. It's so small, right? It's like a 2-minute window, 3-minute window. If you don't captivate their attention in that 2-3 minute window, you lost them. Once again, it's like watching a movie. Try and sit through a whole movie without looking at your phone once. I guarantee you, when you're looking at your phone during the movie, it's probably at a slow part during the movie where you know that you're really not going to miss anything. It's the same idea here. Keep them engaged with your energy and interactiveness. This is for them. Don't get it twisted, right? We service clients. We're in the service business, right? We service them. So guess what? If you're servicing them, you need to make sure that not only you're doing everything right, but also you need to make sure that they have the reassurance of you being their life insurance agent, right? So how would you want a life insurance agent to act towards you for you to earn their trust, right? These are the questions that you guys need to be asking yourselves.
And then who would you want as your second emergency contact? Okay, your sister. All right. Now, what I'm going to do, Jennifer, I'm going to send you over a text message, and I'm going to have you send it over to your brother, Joe, and then your sister, so they know we're going to give them a call to walk them through the claims process. But number two, they won't be caught off guard. They won't be mad you didn't give them a heads up first.
I'll pause it again. See how he gave the client a heads up, as in saying, make sure to text them because I will be reaching out to them to go over the claims forms, right? You need to be assumptive when it comes to this part, guys. For any type of referral you collect. You have to be assumptive. If you're not assumptive as you go through it, guess what? They're going to think that they have a choice to give you a name or not. And you know they're always going to go with not giving you a name if they feel like they have a choice. Guys, these are beneficiaries. This is ensuring that money is going to pay out to their family on one of the worst days of their lives, right? Doesn't matter if it's $1,000, doesn't matter if it's $3,000, doesn't matter if it's 10, 20, 30,000, right? You guys get the point. When it comes to the proper funeral and services to properly send someone off, every little bit counts. Don't have someone scoff at you because it's a $2,000 AD&D, $3,000, $4,000, right? Because they think it's pocket change. It's not. That $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 in that AD&D, that could make or break so many families in general. Never mind in today's day and age where the unemployment rate is the highest it's ever been. Two things are going to happen in every house, guys. And I want you to really listen to this. It's either one, you're going to sell them on why they need it because everyone needs this. Or two, they're going to sell you as to why they don't need it. So a sale happens in every house. It's just up to you which one you fall in between. See what I'm saying? So as we progress through this, right, notice how he already had eApp, the application we use, what we're looking at right now. He already had this fired up in the background so that when he went from his AD&D certificate, verified all that information, it was like, stop sharing your screen for a second, and now he's into the referral box because he already had it pulled up on the back of his screen. Okay? This will make more sense to you guys as you get more practice as well. I just want to make sure that we're highlighting these certain things so that you guys know what to practice on and put pressure on in this business to be successful. Okay? So let's pick up with the video. We're going to go over the child safety kit next.
All right, perfect. So I just sent that text to you. Let me know when you get it. All right, you got that. So first thing I'm going to have you do, Jennifer, is I'm going to have you send that to your brother, Joe, individually. And let me know once you've done that. Okay, you did that. Perfect. And now send it over to your sister as well. Excellent.
This might seem small. You guys may have skipped this if I didn't make this video, which is why I'm doing it. He is not moving on to the next part of his presentation until that client texts these beneficiaries that he just collected. He won't move on. It's not like he's refusing to move on, right? Let me replay it so that you guys can hear it one more time.
I'm going to have you send that to your brother, Joe. All right, you got that. So first thing I'm going to have you do, Jennifer, is I'm going to have you send that to your brother, Joe, individually. And let me know once you've done that.
Let me know once you have done that, right? That's being assumptive, right? He's not asking, oh, could you do me a favor? Do you mind giving Joe a text? Do you mind reaching out to Joe? No, right? Do me a favor, reach out to Joe. All right, let him know that I will be contacting him. All right, let me know when you've done that. Very nonchalant, but it's also stern and direct, right? Because the client is not gonna not do it, right? Because this is something that you guys need to be aware of as well. If the client is hesitant on texting the beneficiary, which if I'm being completely honest, rarely ever happens, if ever does, it's because you as the life insurance agent, you didn't build enough importance in the AD&D and why it's so important, right? You'll never get pushback on reaching out to people's referrals if they understand the importance in what you are doing. All right? So be assumptive when it comes to collecting these beneficiaries, guys. Remember, they need you way more than you need them. This is for them, right? Don't forget that.
Okay, you did that. All right, great. So we're good there. All right, so now you obviously know people with kids, right? In fact, you had mentioned you have 2 kids of your own. So you're obviously going to love this next benefit.
In fact, you have mentioned that you know some kids of your own, right? He brings it up because he wants to show that he is listening to the client. If the client has reassurance that you are listening to them, it's going to be lights out, guys. It's going to be lights out. Ask yourself this. If you had a life insurance agent talking to you about your family, wouldn't you want to make sure that they're understanding what you're saying to them? Of course you would. It's the same idea. So that's why rapport is so important, because he wouldn't be able to tie that in the way he did, right? Saying that she does know kids, Jennifer in this example, right? Only way he knows that is because he built the right productive rapport, proactive, not reactive, right? So let's see how it ties in.
Before I explain it, do me a favor and go into your app store and just download. It's called the Child Safe Kit app. Now, it's going to be a little red square, and while that's downloading, let me ask you, has your child ever gone missing even for like 30 seconds? Right, but you found him, right? Exactly. You were lucky. Last year, 600,000 families weren't as lucky as you. And this is why we partnered with the authorities to develop the application. So I'm going to walk you through the actual Child Safe Kit itself. So I'm going to share my screen with you as well.
All right. So notice how we introduced it, right? He said 600,000 children went missing last year, right? Thankfully, Jennifer, in this case, she found her kid that was missing for 30 seconds, a minute, whatever it may be. And then he says, well, those other families, they weren't so lucky like you. That may seem like a small little line that he said. That carries a lot of weight to it, guys. Carries a lot of weight to this. Child Safety Kit in general, for me personally, this was my personal favorite, right? Because here's the deal. With the Child Safety Kit, guys, in order for you to really collect the amount of referrals that you should be collecting, which should be anywhere between 8 to 10 Child Safety Kit referrals per presentation, if you can do that, 8 to 10, you will be so profitable in this business. In order to get there, you need to do something, it's called painting the picture. What painting the picture means is putting them in the shoes of, if they lose their child today, what's their game plan? So a couple of things I want you to notice as Pete goes through this. We won't watch all of it, right? Because he's just explaining the PowerPoint, which you guys will have access to. Notice how his tonality changes. He's not laughing. He's not smiling as he goes through this. He's very stern and direct. He's having a serious conversation. So what I want you guys to start working on and start implementing in your own presentations, I want you guys to start thinking of being the thermostat in the house, not the thermometer. So let me elaborate a little bit on that. A thermometer, what does that do? It just tells you how hot the room is, right? A thermostat, you can dictate the temperature of the room. So if you want it to make it high energy, right? High energy, that's me in the beginning. That's me introducing myself, getting to know them, building initial rapport, right? I haven't started my presentation yet with them. My energy is going to be high, right? As we go through the Child Safety Kit, I'm going to turn that thermostat way down. I'm going to make the room cold, dark, gloomy. I'm not smiling anymore. I might have a serious expression on my face, like I'm having a serious conversation with my parents, right? We're talking about missing kids here. There's nothing funny about it. This is a serious problem. The more serious you are about this, the more serious it's going to come off to them. This is a really good line that I got from Albie himself. He said, the applause that you get from the no-cost benefits is the amount of referrals you collect from the no-cost benefits. So for example, let's say you go through the presentation, you go through the AD&D, Child Safety Kit, AIL Plus, you didn't get any referrals. Well, that just means you didn't go through them properly. That means that they didn't see the importance in this because you didn't come off appropriately, as opposed to going through all these no-cost benefits and getting 20 referrals. The most referrals I've ever got in a house was 38. Honest to God, 38 referrals. Reason I was able to get that many referrals is because I went above and beyond with rapport. I made sure she was comfortable with me. I made sure I answered all her questions. I made sure that she was not confused in any way, shape, or form. I made sure that she understood what we were going to go through. There was no gray area. It was very clear cut. And her phone was even dead at the time. She even charged her phone, went into her phone book, and then just rattled off 38 names for me. They will give you referrals only if you paint the picture, you're the thermostat in the house, and you come off in a serious manner for the child safety kits. Now, don't get it twisted, guys, right? I'm not saying scare them. I'm saying paint the picture very clear and concise that they're just naturally thinking, holy crap, if I lose my kid tomorrow, what is my game plan? Because guess what, guys? I'll call a spade a spade. I always do. I always like to quote Mike Tyson when it comes to this. Everyone has a game plan until they get punched in the face. That's Mike Tyson's famous line. It's the same idea here. Every parent has a game plan until something tragic happens. And then everything's out the window and they have no idea what to do. What's the problem? Missing children. Solution, child safety kit. Same thing, right? Show the problem, provide the solution. So as he goes through this PowerPoint, I want you to notice how he goes through it step by step. When you guys go through this PowerPoint with the client, I really want you to picture like you're talking to a 2-year-old and you have to baby step them through each and every step. So what does that mean? That means you're going to need some patience going through this. Maybe they're not tech savvy. Maybe they're really slow downloading the app, whatever the case may be, right? Have that precaution going into this so that if it does take a little bit longer, guess what? You were already expecting it. So it's like nothing, right? Water off the back, right? It's the same thing with back to the Mike Tyson analogies, right? If you don't like Mike Tyson, I apologize, but I love him. He's my guy. If you go into a boxing match and you expect to get punched in the face, and then you finally do get punched in the face, it doesn't hurt as much anymore because you were expecting it. Same idea here, okay? So as we go through, I will say Pete kind of goes through the PowerPoint a little fast, but that's to be expected. Just because he's a top manager, he already knows all the ins and outs of everything. So as he goes through these slides, I want you to go through them in a similar way, but much slower. Okay?
All right. So at this point in time, I'm going to have you go through all the steps here. Sign up, I'm new here. Enter in that name, email, phone number, enter your address, agree to the terms and conditions, and then it's going to text you over a confirmation code.
Right, so I'll fast forward the video a little bit for you all. There's another module in the training that explains all this. All right, so we won't go through this here. Now, one thing I want to show you is when he goes into collecting referrals for the child safety kit, I want you to pay attention to how he segues into it.
Profiles for the kids once we're done here today. Now, understand with everything going on today, the authorities are on a mission to get the child safe kit app out to every parent in the community. And luckily they've done the math for us. So they figured every family we meet with chooses just 10 other families with kids, then we'll be able to protect all of the kids here in Massachusetts. Now, they don't limit you to just 10 families, but they do ask you to do your best to get 10. And I know you mentioned, actually, you said you had a couple of cousins that have kids, right? Okay, let's start with them. So what's the name of the first cousin with kids?
Notice how he didn't ask an open-ended question, right? That referral verbiage that he went through saying that if for every family we sit with, they give us 10 people, then we'll be able to accomplish our mission by delivering these child safety kits out to every family with kids in Massachusetts by the end of next year. That verbiage you heard, that's in, you will learn that as you go through the training, okay? So this isn't the reason for the video. The reason for this video is to talk about how he is assumptive collecting these referrals here, guys. So what I mean by assumptive, Notice how he was like, so I remember you said that you have some cousins with kids. Let's start with them. What's their last name or what's their first name? As opposed to, I know you said you know people with kids. Who do you want to start with first? You can just see the difference in those two lines that I just said back to back. I know you said you have cousins that live nearby who have kids. So let's start with them. What's their name? As opposed to, I know you said you know people with kids. So who do you want to start with first? You see how one question points them and pushes them in a direction, and then the other question just drifts them off into la la land where they don't really have a proper foot to stand on. And so then this is a common thing that happens. They say, yeah, I really just can't think of anyone right now. Well, yeah, obviously they can't think of anyone right now because you didn't point them in any type of direction. And now they're confused. So guess what people say when they're confused? I don't know anyone. I just want to think about it. Because no one ever wants to tell someone that they're confused because they don't want to be judged, looked at different, whatever the case may be, right? When you are collecting referrals, you need to be proactive. Proactive, not reactive, and I'll keep saying it. That's the name of the referrals. Proactive, not reactive.
All right, and I'll record that right here. So the first cousin is going to be Harry. All right,
notice how he repeats the name. Notice how we already had EAP already loaded up in the background, so it was an easy transition to collecting the referrals, right? Because the easier the transition piece, guys, the faster things are going to go, right? And the more professional you look, the more put together everything looks, right? Your credibility goes through the roof, okay? So notice as he collects this referral information, notice what he says back so that it fills in the dead space, right? You don't want any silence at this point. You want to make it interactive.
And then the last name, Smith, perfect. And what's Harry's phone number? 617-888-3232. You said cousin. Now, how many kids does Harry have? 2 kids. And then what city is he in? He's in Boston. Okay, perfect. Who's next? Great. So what I'm going to do next, Jennifer, I'm going to send you, again, another text message just to send over to each of those people you sponsored for the no-cost Child Safe Kit. So they know we're going to get them out the Child Safe Kit, but they also aren't going to be mad you didn't give them a heads up first. All right. So same thing. I just sent you that text. Let me know when you get it. Perfect. You got that. All righty. And I'm going to have you send it to your cousin Harry first. Okay, great. Now, once you're done with Harry, send it to the next person, your friend Mary. Awesome. So now you're all set with that. So the next benefit.
Always make sure to get a verification that they sent off the text message, guys. That's important. Same idea as the AD&D, right? You don't want to move on to the next benefit until they told you that, yes, I just sent the text message, just sent it out, right? Get that verbal confirmation from them.
Is the AIL Plus Health Service discount card. And it's actually designed to help lower your out-of-pocket expenses and will work with that current medical insurance you have through work. Now, the benefit is also at no cost and can be used for anyone in the entire household. It's going to provide anywhere from 10 to 85% off of prescriptions, vision, hearing, dental, and a bunch of other services. So I'm going to text you over a photo of the different coverages, and you can run through it on your own time. So I just sent you that text as well, and you got that? Perfect. All right. So now, right now, not all nurses, M&A members are getting their benefits they're entitled to.
Notice what you just said. Not all M&A nurses are getting the benefits that they are entitled to. Whatever union you are sitting with, cater to that union, right? Case in point, M&A. Not all M&A members are getting the benefits that they are entitled to, right? Keep bringing up their union because that's who we work with, right? Keep bringing it up so that they have the reassurance as to why you are there. It might seem small, but it goes a long way, guys, because it helps your credibility and professionalism as well.
And one, they either don't get the paperwork in the mail, or 2, they get it in the mail. But what do you think they do with it? Yeah, they throw it out, right? So
might seem small once again, right? What do you think they do with it? Asking them a question, right? Keeping them engaged. Keep them engaged. Give them some softball questions too, right? Give them easy questions that you know they know the answer to, right? Maybe they knew that. Maybe, oh yeah, I throw out that paperwork all the time. Guys, union members do this stuff all day long. Think about it. Sometimes they move from place to place, right? And sometimes the mail just gets lost in translation somewhere, right? Think about it. Have fun with it. This is him transitioning into the needs analysis. Okay. After we go through this transition piece, we'll cut the video there. All right.
With everything going on with the pandemic, they want to make sure all of the nurses, especially in the M&A, have gotten their benefits. So they ask you to participate in the union catch-up program. You put down 5 coworkers. We just cross-reference their name and number, run them through our database to make sure they've gotten their benefits, obviously like I'm doing with you now. And you said you're close with a few coworkers, right? You said you've been at the hospital 10 years. Perfect. So who do you want to start with there?
So right now he's collecting AIL plus referrals. So in other words, these can be used as union catch-up referrals. Other coworkers that they work with in the union that also don't know that their benefits through their job go away, and they may not have anything permanent in place. So this is an opportunity for the client to help out their coworkers and for us to go and present to those coworkers that are in the same union as Jennifer in this example.
All right, you would want to start with another nurse on your floor? Okay, perfect. We can do that. So we'll start with, what's their name? Emily. Okay, perfect. Do you know Emily's last name? Higgins. All right, and her phone number, 774-542-2323. Perfect. All righty, and she's a coworker, and she's an RN as well. Perfect. And she's at Shattuck with you. All right, and then do you know what city Emily's in? She's in Brockton. Okay, great.
Here's the deal, guys. With your referral boxes, what we're looking at right now, here's the main information you need to get every single time. Once again, this is covered in another module, but this is what I want to snowball off of. Name, so first name, last name, obviously, right? Phone number, relationship, city that they're from. Those 4 things, okay? Now, in the notes section that you see down the bottom, right under the email tab, I want you guys to get in the habit of doing this. This is called qualifying your referrals as you collect them. I want you to ask if they have any kids. I want you to ask if they're married. And I want you to ask if they're working, either full-time, part-time, whatever it is. Just if they're working in general. Because what this is going to do for you is that once you are done with this presentation, right, you hang up the Zoom call, and now you have all these referrals that you just collected from that person, right? This is how you work smarter, not harder. If you qualify your referrals correctly, all you need to do is go through your referrals, and now you can prioritize people based off the information they gave you, right? Let's say you collected 5 referrals. Out of those 5 referrals, 2 of them aren't working. Now, I'm not saying don't go see those people, but I'm going to put a priority on the 3 people that are working, right? Want you guys to start thinking along in those lines. The reason why I know those 3 people are working, because I qualified my referrals as I was collecting them. So now I already know a little bit about these people before I even give them a call. All right? Also helps with rapport once you get in contact with them. Okay? So let's continue on through this, guys. I want you to hear the transition into the needs analysis that's coming on right after this. And then I'll say 2 more things, and then we'll finish the video.
Who's next? Who's next? All right, so same thing. I'm going to send you one last text, all right? And I'm going to have you send this out to each of your coworkers so they know we'll reach out to them to make sure they've received those no-cost benefits, and also so they aren't mad you didn't give them a heads up first. All right, so I just sent you that text. Let me know when you get it. Perfect. So we'll start with Emily, all right? And let me know once you've sent it to her. Great. And then we'll send it to the next coworker.
He goes down the line.
Now, it is 2020, Jennifer, and most people, they already have all their insurance set up. But what we found out is since coronavirus showed up, most people really want to know what they have and how it works. So the next benefit, it's the no-cost needs analysis. It takes into consideration your current situation and just determines if you have any gaps in your coverage. So no gaps, it won't recommend anything for you. If you do have gaps, it will recommend a few things. And I promised you earlier I'd give you the short version. So just bear with me. I'm going to skip through a couple quick videos. Bear with me 1 second.
All right. So we'll cut it there. Now, what I want you guys to really start paying attention to and asking yourself now, after going through the first half of this full presentation, right? I want you to ask yourself, how do I be proactive and not reactive? I want you to ask yourself, what type of tonality, right? What type of tonality works for me, right? Now, I don't want you to put on a fake persona. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is be yourself in the house in a natural way, because I'm sure I say things differently than how you say it. And there's no right or wrong way. Be yourself in every house. Include these intangibles, be the thermostat, not the thermometer, right? You want to bring them on an emotional roller coaster as you go through these no-cost benefits. You go through the AD&D first, right? You verify all that information for them. Then you go through the child safety kit. You pull on their heartstrings a little bit, talking about missing kids. And then you bring up the AIL Plus card so that their coworkers can also be involved in these great benefits that they're taking advantage of today. And then you transition into the needs analysis, and that's where you start talking about insurance. That's when you start really qualifying them for the first time, health-wise, that is. All right. So that'll be another video and another module. Guys, take care. Once again, I will be seeing you in the other videos. I hope this helps. And let me know if you guys have any questions, comments, concerns. My information is in the top of module 3. I have my phone number in there as well. Don't hesitate to reach out. All right. Take care, guys.